Matthew McConaughey is one of the best storytellers alive, and if you want to seal his effortless charm, you need to know one thing. It's that you don't need a better story, you need a better voice. Let me explain. There are 3 things that Matthew McConaughey does to grab you by the freaking throat with his stories, bro. Let's check this clip out and see what they are.
7:36 p.m. I remember the number.
What?
Hey, Pop. Hey, what's up, monkey man? So listen, can I talk to you about something? Sure. I said, Dad, I don't want to go to law school anymore. I want to go to film school. And I'm like, a little bead of sweat starts to go down the back of my neck. I'm like, here it comes.
So the very first thing we can look at is specificity. Specificity, yes. So Matthew McConaughey doesn't just say, I was calling my dad at nighttime. He says, 7:36 p.m. Remember the number. I hope you like my southern drawl. He puts you exactly into the moment by telling you the time. You can almost see his clock, right? The second thing that he does is he speaks in the present tense. He doesn't only say, I was on the phone with my dad. He says, hey monkey man. He puts you exactly into the conversation because that's how his dad speaks. That's exactly the thing that he would have said to him. By speaking in the present tense, you were put into that moment with him. The third thing that he does is he uses feeling language, right? You saw I put 3 whenever he was talking about the bead of sweat going down the back of his neck. You can almost feel that yourself. And by using these 3 tactics, he makes a story that could otherwise be pretty boring if you tell it like most people, into something that is highly engaging. It captures your attention. And the best news is there is a 2-step McConaughey method to where you don't have to remember any tactics. You don't have to remember to use feeling language. You don't have to remember to try and be emotional. It all just comes out naturally, and you're going to start telling stories that captivate people easier than ever before. But it's not by using these tactics, right? It's by developing your voice. And by doing this, you can make any boring story interesting. Watch how McConaughey does it, just talking about waiting for an email.
Says, I'm kind of nervous, what's he gonna say? Oh, I'm on the right track, and he's happy with where I'm going. 1 day, nothing. 2 days, nothing. 3 days, nothing. 4 days later, it comes up, his email. I'm like, there it is. I clear the room.
Waiting for an email is a pretty boring story until Matthew McConaughey tells it. And he has the audience's attention in the palm of his hand. And if you want this superpower, you simply have to follow the McConaughey method. So there's 2 steps to this process. The very first is using your voice reflexively. Whenever I was 21, I just broken up with my long-term girlfriend, cried about it for a few months, but at this point, I'm still sad, but I want to start dating other girls, right? I want to get back out in the dating scene, but every single time that I see this girl who is an absolute cutie, my heart just feels like it stops beating, right? I freeze, my muscles tense up, and I don't know what to do. Because it kind of felt like she was quote unquote out of my league, even though leagues are fucking fake, bro. Anyway, I see this girl and I say, okay, I'm going to talk to Carly today. It's happening. It's actually going to freaking happen. And there's something very different about this day. It's that I just start forcing my feet to move. I still have these same feelings of resistance, this same sinking feeling in my gut, but I'm clomping along, 1 step, then the next, and then I start walking like a normal person does until I finally get up to her table, and then I pivot and speed walk out the exit door next to Carly because I bitched out. Because I was so tense. I was so afraid of what other people would think of me, of the people in the cafe that I just saw, that I just envisioned laughing at me whenever I got rejected. I saw her being weirded out by someone just coming up to her. So I didn't take that step. I didn't make the move. The thing is, because people like you and I have grown up where every time that we had to speak, we had to raise our hand, right? We got scolded if we didn't. We grew up feeling like we can't show our true emotions. We'll get punished for it. We can't tell someone that we like them, that we have feelings for them because they might reject you. The fact is, bro, most people today have grown up trained to hide emotion, trained to tense their body up, right? Whenever you have that really difficult conversation to have with someone, but you keep putting it off and putting it off because you keep getting that sinking feeling in your gut. When you are trained over and over again to tense up, you tense your neck, right? You tense your face, you tense your chest, and your voice cannot be used correctly because your voice is supposed to be an expression of your inner self, right? Back in caveman times, back before we had all of this conditioning, you just spoke what you felt, right? There weren't even words. You gave caveman grunts, and you just spoke emotion freely, right? But from conditioning, you have lost that ability. You've lost the ability to not second guess what you say before you say it, or how you feel, or to genuinely speak how you feel. It's like you almost can't find the words. It's like you almost can't even put your finger on what emotion you're feeling most of the time. Whenever you are this far in, like I have been for years, right? You simply cannot emotionally move other people because of this thing scientists call emotional contagion, right? There's a bunch of studies that prove this, but whenever someone is in a position of leadership, people take on the emotion that they are feeling. And what you were doing when you were telling a story is you were temporarily taking this position of leadership. You're taking people from point A to point B through your story. And so you are affecting their emotions, but you can only do this if you are emotionally reflexive yourself, if your voice carries that emotion. And there's a lot of inner healing that you can do from trauma and emotional wounds and like healing your relationship with your parents and that kind of shit that can help you out with developing a reflexive voice. But just recognizing and knowing to reflect emotion in your voice is the very first step. And if you want to dive deeper in how to develop your reflexive masculine voice, you can click the first community link in the description. Step 2 of the McConaughey Method is seeing the story. I never thought that I would break the internet with a YouTube video, but I'm in the gym one time after finishing up some rowing machine, and I go over to my buddy and I'm like, dude, look at this, Ian. And I show him my video analytics, and it's the #1 video in the past 10. And it's been maybe 2 days since I've posted this video about how to deepen your voice, how to have a more masculine voice. And it's by far doing way better than any of the other things that I've posted. Ian is like, this is great, man. Great stuff, dude. And I kind of am really honest with him, and I'm like, dude, this is really cool, but at the same time, it's like, holy shit, there's a new level of responsibility almost. I feel like I'm going into a new echelon of quote unquote influencer. And I don't 100% know if I'm ready for that. And while this was a good thing, it's also like pretty freaking scary, man, because a bunch of people who are total strangers on the internet are just seeing your face for the first time. And I don't think I was quite ready for that emotional hit, because like I can literally feel the tension starting to build up in my chest just talking about it. But I go home and even more tension is starting to build over the next couple days, because each morning I'm checking the analytics in my room, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 views. A week later, 50,000, 100,000 views. And I'm absolutely blown away. And I'm trying to make the best videos that I possibly can by analyzing the shit out of this video. So it's like 8:50 in the morning, I'm looking at my laptop screen and I'm like, what is it, dude? Because I've been struggling with this for hours, scratching my head on this problem. What is it that made this video stand out and pop in a way that no other video on my channel has before? And then it hits me. Oh, it's because I felt exactly what I was feeling in that story while I was telling it. This is the first time ever that I'd used visualization during my storytelling. And you can kind of tell in this video, right? If you go back and watch it, you can tell that I'm still heartbroken over what happened, because in this story, I'm telling about how I lost my girlfriend and my best friend in the same day. And as I'm going through it, and I'm talking about the hurdles that I've overcome and the mistakes that I've made, the sadness that I felt, I genuinely felt all of those feelings, because as I was telling the story, I was there in my car. I was there in my car when my text wouldn't go through to my best friend after I was trying to get his support for the breakup. And I realized, shit, I am alone in a city that I've never been in, and I just live here now. What I realized from analyzing this YouTube video is that not only are stories powerful, but their power is absolutely multiplied. Your charisma is multiplied whenever you just see the story as you were telling it. And you can't just bullshit this, bro. You can't just like try and see the story. There are specific ways. So the most practical tactic I can give you for this is, as you were telling the story, imagine the very first scene in absolute detail, as if it's a movie that is playing in your head. Specifically, get involved with the senses of smell and touch, because you're used to hearing things, you're used to seeing things in your, like when you're imagining things, but you're not used to feeling it. So what do your clothes feel like? What temperature is it outside? What are the smells going on around you? Because whenever you're able to visualize the first scene of your story in this much detail, the rest of it just starts to play like a movie. And you get into this state of flow almost, where you're not thinking about the story, you're just speaking. The words are coming out of you. And as long as your voice, as long as you've nailed step one, right? And your voice is reflexive of the emotion, you are going to be putting this mental movie that you have in your head into other people's heads. Think about how powerful that is, bro. That's literally telepathy. This is how people lead. This is how people inspire. This is how you get that chokehold of attention that Matthew McConaughey has on you, bro. So do this with me right now. Imagine a time whenever you were the very first time where you really felt like you overcame something difficult and were really proud of yourself. What was it like? What did you feel in that moment? What were the smells around you? Visualize this scene in detail. And the clearer and more vivid you can get it, the more that you can feel it right now, the better you are going to get at this skill, because it's like a muscle, bro. The more that you visualize, the more that you practice this, the better that you are going to get at it. And it's going to be really fuzzy at first, but eventually you get to the point where it's like you can tell these amazing stories without any practice, without any forethought about it. I'll think of mine. So whenever I'm like 14 at this time, and everyone has been talking about on this Boy Scout trip, I'm on a canoeing trip, and everyone's been talking about this certain place where there's a big rope swing. Everyone is always scared to do it. But the very first person, someone has to go first every time. And we've been hyping it up this entire trip. We're canoeing down the river and we're like, who's going to do it first? Who's going to do it first? And people basically just volunteer me. They start saying, oh, Luke's got it, Luke's got it, Luke's got it. And I'm too afraid to say no. I very much cave into social pressure at this point. But I can feel the rope on my hands whenever I walk up to it. And I'm like, there's no way this thing is going to hold me. This is a slippery ass rope. I'm not even going to be able to make it into the lake, because at the very edge are these sharp ass rocks where I am going to bust my ass and have to go to the hospital. And I'm seeing all of this go through in my head, and my heart is beating faster and faster as I'm doing it. I'm literally sweating, and everything in this moment is so confusing. And again, I'm frozen in this moment. But this little girl walks up to me. And I say little girl, but I'm like 14 at this point. She's like 13, 14. She walks up to me and just has this look in her eyes of, I'm impressed. Because she walks up to me and she says, Luke, she doesn't say my name, she doesn't know my name, but she says, hey, I know that this is scary, but I want you to know that you have more balls than the grown men who are sitting over there who won't go on this rope. I just want you to know that. And then she kind of scampers away. And with that, I'm feeling good, you know? I'm feeling like, oh shit, maybe I can do this. And so I'm running back onto the top of the hill. I get on top of this log so I have some height, and I just swing. I just go. And I'm slipping down the rope as I go, and I'm slipping and slipping, getting closer to the rocks, but I make it past, and then I let go, splash into the lake. Absolute feeling of freedom at this point. And I'm just overwhelmed with this sense of accomplishment, because all my boys are back on the land cheering for me, and even this girl is too, and the adults over there are eating their freaking hot dogs with mustard and just like, pissed off that some little boy was able to go jump on a rope that they couldn't. I realized that might not have been a 10 out of 10 story, but it was in the moment, right? I hadn't practiced it. It's just something that came to me, and you're going to be able to master and get better and better at this storytelling skill simply by, one, being able to visualize the story in front of you, but two, by making sure that your voice is free to reflect the genuine emotion that you actually had in that moment, by not tensing up, by not falling into these habits and patterns that your muscles have learned to just hide all emotion. So steal the McConaughey method, become a leader among men by telling stories that capture attention and move people like you never have been able to before. And now that you know exactly how to tell stories that capture attention by unlocking the emotion in your voice, your next step is to watch this video where you can learn how to unlock your most attractive voice tonality for you. And apparently, when you do this, you end up on the Calm app.
As you settle in under the covers with your head easing into the pillow and your body sinking into the mattress, I'd like you to let your mind drift with me for just a minute.